name is Tao Tran. I'm the head of growth at Palexy, and today I have a chance to sit down with Andrew, and he's responsible for the sports side at Central Retail, and we've been working together for 3 years now. Today we're going to talk about the different challenges in the retail market, and Andrew has been in different retail markets across the world, from Africa, from Middle East to Asia. So I'm going to pick his brain about what has gotten harder in retail, what has gotten easier, and what can help him manage a retail business, improving, turning around everything that has to do with retail, and how does a performance management system like Palexy can come in and help retailers improve their business. Hi, Andrew. First of all, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for doing this with us. I myself have been a big fan of you since we started our collaboration together almost 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I will tell you why. So I always do a store visit to the stores that belong to the customers that we work with. At Palexy, we see the data side of things. We see all the metrics. We see traffic, conversion, ATV, who's in, who's out, staff interaction. But I also want to feel the human side of things, and that's why I do these site visits. And when I did this site visit at Super Sports stores, I was super impressed.
Thank you.
You have staff in there who are invested in my shopping experience as much as it were their own.
Okay.
They are as keen as me in finding me the perfect match for my picky requirements. And it's not just one time. It's time and time again. It's not just one excellent or a few excellent staff, but every time I go in there, whether it is myself or with my family or with my friends, it is the consistent shopping experience that I love. And that's why I have a lot of respect for you, the man behind the scene. I know it's not an easy thing to achieve.
There is a team.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, of course, and your team, everyone that I've met as well, who's all incredible. Yeah. But you have spent a long time helping different retail businesses achieve incredible things like this across Africa, Middle East, and Asia. So I was curious on one thing that you mentioned earlier. When you step into a store, sometimes you can feel the very different energy. Like it could be very positive, but some stores does not have that vibe.
Yep.
It feels negative. So how do you work on turning that around, the energy, or how do you work on turning the profitability around?
Well, I think the first thing you do on the store experience, and when you walk into stores, that my own experience, when I walk into stores, that you can feel something's not right. It's a number of factors. It's not one factor, but obviously, it's obviously you. Firstly, you have to be very positive going in there. So you have to, they need to know that you're helping them make sales. So at the end of the day, you need to go in and they need to understand that it's not just the stores as a back office. We're all linked, right? So again,
they need to feel that you are there to support them to achieve
I think
their sales
that's a big
target.
thing. And then you're giving them the tools. So we call them the levers. So we have the levers like Palexy, and that's why it's such a great example. Palexy is a great tool to put into place for these guys to know that it's going to help them. So I think once they know, firstly, that you're involved and that you're supportive, the next thing is that they have tools that they can use, and that you're helping them to achieve, what they want. It becomes easier. So then I think the whole experience becomes a lot easier. And I think one of the great things has been sort of the partnership that we've forged together with Palexy, because that helps me and helps my team go a long way in how we can change, how we can reinforce certain things in stores, how we can change the behavior, and how we can become better retailers. And I think it's important. I think it's very important that we keep up with the times and that we keep evolving. I think it would be very difficult to run retail, I would think, now that I've used performance management systems, to not have them. Like, if I just think in the old days when I started, it was just sales.
Okay, so why is it important to you?
Well, I think
what if you don't have it?
Because you won't be able to go, you won't be able to do what we call the deep dive. You won't be able to go in and really find the source of the problem. Because if you're just looking at sales, you won't know, and you won't have enough information to understand, okay, well, the sales have dropped. So in a store A, your sales have dropped, store B, the sales haven't. Once you start getting performance, when you get these metrics that are coming in from the system, you can start to look at, conversion. So then you can look, if your conversion's down, what's driving that low conversion? Is that linked to your store staffing schedules? So you start to link it to schedules. You start to link it to when you're receiving stock. The systems are great. What you give us is great because suddenly you can see how many people are on the sales floor. Now, before you couldn't. So in the old way, I couldn't tell you how many people are on the sales floor. With the AI now and with the tools that we have, we can see at a time. So we could have more customers, and we know this because it's the customer interaction part. If a customer walks in, do we have the right amount of people on the floor? Or are they in the back room receiving stock? Or are they on a lunch break? Or are they on a... So I think it's all linked, and it's vital. And I think you will, as a retailer, if you're not moving and using these systems that are available, it's going to be pretty difficult in the future.
Yeah. So within the past couple of decades that you have been in retail...
Decades, yeah.
Decades. I don't say years, right?
That's decades, which is actually quite frightening, but yeah. Thank you.
What has gotten harder and what has gotten easier?
I think you can't say harder. I mean, it doesn't get easier in terms of the retail. Retail, there's more brands, there's more competition. I mean, that's natural. So there's a lot more happening. But that's the exciting part as well, because the whole competition side is that's what we live for. That's how we work with the brands. I don't think there's anything getting harder. I think the complexity's changed. So definitely, I think, and online has been a big part of that, because the move to online means that you're not going to get as many people visiting the store, or if they visit, they may not shop at the store. They're just going to go back and shop online. So how you link, and that's why we see it as one and not separate. And then that also then how you then measure it. That's the complexity because you're not your store is not your final destination of sale.
So many options.
It can be your online. It can be your online too, but it's all the same. So I think that's a complexity for anyone looking at for top management when they're looking at it now, because you can't just measure a store just on a store now. You've got to look at the other channels that you have. How do you measure it in totality? So how do you measure your complete business?
Totality and also relatively across your different stores, across your different brands, across different formats,
and
compared to the benchmark, to your competitors.
And I think the competitor thing is an interesting one, and why for me, Palexy is so good. It doesn't matter that we all have Palexy, and it doesn't matter that we're competitors, and we're all using systems. But I think it's not about that, because I'm a believer that competition is more. Is not an issue for me. It's more about how do you use your systems for your own product and for your own business. So it doesn't really, it doesn't really matter too much about. We need to know what the competitors are doing, but we can all be looking at the same things. How we use that's different.
So you keep mentioning that a retail performance management system is vital to you. So you cannot live without it.
I could live without it, but I wouldn't want to live without it.
You wouldn't want to live without it,
No, not at all.
So when you have to choose between different solutions, what factors do you look at? What factors do you consider?
I think it's because I've used many, and some going quite far back. I think the most important thing it's like anything that you do, it's relationship. It's the first key is what is the relationship between the two partners and the companies, because you've got to be reactive, you've got to be working together, and you've got to be looking at the same goal. If you're not, it's not going to work. So there are a lot of systems. I mean, there's tons of systems that you can get, but off the shelf, whatever. But you can have systems, but if it's not so firstly flexibility. So like we have with Palexy.
Relationship, flexibility, and the goal that we're both working
towards.
Working
together, 100%. But that really is, and it's been, and I'm not saying it because we're having this conversation and we're together and it's being filmed. I'm saying it truly. It's rare. It's sometimes quite rare to get those right relationships. But I think with Palexy we've managed to definitely do that, and maybe because we were there from quite far back, but also because we've evolved a lot together, and we've managed, we've grown together with it, and we've tried different things and that. And I think, for me, that's the key. So the key is really being able to, pick up the phone, meet, and say, okay, we need to look at this, or we need to understand this, and the great thing is what you guys do a lot, which I think, so it's not one-sided. It's not us asking for something, but I think what's really good is you guys are constantly evolving too. So it's not just we're evolving, you're evolving, and I think that's great. So you're constantly coming with every meeting we have where you can say, well, should we track this, or should we try and look at this?
I think you should try this.
Which I think is vital.
And then working and finding the next thing.
Working,
maybe
and I think
it works,
analyzing
maybe it
it, and analyzing it together to say, did it, is this, so we've done this new KPI or this new metric we're measuring, is it worthwhile? Is it something that is working and you're using it? And if not, do we not do it, or do we look at maybe we should do this? And I think it's all about progressing and understanding. So I think it's I like, you can hear it. I like this part of the business. And I like being involved in on the floor and with the different systems and understanding the consumers, because it's about people.
So if I were to recap, what factors you consider when choosing between different solutions, it would be the relationship,
Number one,
the goal, and also the flexibility of the system.
So as long as Palexy can keep that flexibility, I think it's wonderful. I think.
And talking about partners and partnership, you work with Palexy for almost 3 years, and you work with other solutions in other markets, like in Middle East, you had a different vendor. In Africa, couple of vendors, and in Africa, probably different solutions as well. And so I'm curious, at Palexy, what are we great at? What is the one thing you can find in us?
It's back to the partnership, about having the close relationship and the relationship. To be honest, I think more and more. I mean, if I go back to when I was using, and the systems have changed, so it has probably changed even in Middle East when I was working there. And I worked there for more than a decade, but there wasn't this. So there was not this
no relationship, no interaction, in fact, no feedback.
So when we were working with big performance systems, we never had a personal touch at all.
Really?
No personal touch. So,
I'm surprised.
No, because it was more numbers, and to be fair and to be honest, depends a lot on the market you're in. You've got to remember, a market like Dubai, Middle East, was moving at pace, so it didn't really matter, because money was just, you were evolving anyway. Luckily, I mean, it was a nice position to be in, is that, because retail was evolving so fast, the relationships weren't as important. Relationships become more important when things get tougher and when things are challenging. We started COVID. So I mean, we had the whole experience of, okay, now we don't have stores because we shut them. So I think that's when a relationship becomes vital, because how do you manage the challenging and the tough times. And then it will be added. So I've never, to be honest, and back to your question, I've never had this at all, or any relationship where we've been able to really work from day one on what we want and what we want to see. And I think that's why it was so different, and why it has been such a different journey. And I don't know if that's always available to retailers in countries. I'm not sure, because I think we're in a position in Vietnam where it's happened, and it's been great to have that experience to be able to build it.
It's great to hear that you've enjoyed our business together, and let's make it even greater.
And I'm sure we will. I'm sure we will. And thank you for this. I mean,
thank you.
It's been a great opportunity to chat and talk. I know I talk a lot. But
and
it's
I enjoy it.
Great to share it.
So
hopefully we'll be, when we do it again, we can see even more progress, and we'll be talking about some more great things that we've managed.
Always
together.
Looking at the next progress.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you. All right, great. Thanks, Tao.